Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Paula Morrison. I am a research coordinator with long-term care and seniors care for Interior Health. And we'd like to respectfully acknowledge that UBC Okanagan is situated on the traditional, ancestral, unceded territory of the Silks Okanagan Nation. I happen to be not far from UBC myself. And also like to acknowledge that you may be joining us today from many other places, near and far. And we acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands as well. Embrace Aging is co-hosted by the Institute for Healthy Living and Chronic Disease Prevention at UBC Okanagan, Interior Savings, and Interior Health. UBC Okanagan has joined the global network of age-friendly universities, formalizing its pledge to make UBC more accessible, intergenerational, and committed to research programs that are informed by the needs of an aging society. If you would like to know more about the Age-Friendly University Initiative, have suggestions for us, or would like to get involved, please contact the Aging in Place Research Cluster. There's an email, aging.inplace@ubc.ca, and a website as well. And I know my friend will post that in the chat for us. Embrace Aging Month was launched 11 years ago to celebrate and raise awareness about positive aging, and has once again organized a number of educational opportunities and events during the month of March. I'm hoping you got to participate. I've been fortunate to participate in a few events. The sessions are designed for everyone, young and old alike, and focus on a variety of topics related to healthy aging and ways to improve quality of life among seniors and their family caregivers. Oh, I'm going to take a breath. Our goal is to inspire everyone to embrace positive aging. Know that there's closed captioning. The closed captioning box can be moved to your preference place by clicking and dragging it to where you would like. Or you can turn off closed captioning as well, and a hide caption button on the menu bar. Questions, you can type questions or comments for the speakers into the chat box during the presentation, and questions, we'll read the questions at the end. And today's event is entitled Advanced Care Planning. Thank you, Natasha and Patty, for attending. And it's called Advanced Care Planning, Who Will Speak for You? Yeah, thank you for attending, and I will pass the torch to you.
Thanks, Paula. I just want to acknowledge that I'm calling in today from the Silks Okanagan Nation. And I also just want to thank you to UBCO for collaborating with us once again to share this important topic around advanced care planning. So next, I've got Patty here in the background who's going to switch the slides for us. So today's overview is really how to do advanced care planning and things that we need to think about when it comes to thinking about our plan, really talking about our plan, and making sure that we are planning for our plan. We're going to talk about what is a substitute decision maker and how do we identify one for ourselves. And how do we start this really important conversation about advanced care planning? Who to discuss and share our wishes with, and then how do we go about creating our advanced care plan. Before we get into this topic, I just want to share a really brief description about the Central Okanagan Hospice Association and the programs that we offer. So for over 42 years, we've been supporting the geographical area of Peachland to Lake Country. We work closely with many care partners, as well as other partners who, where we have some common goals with regards to palliative care or grief and bereavement. We have over 120 trained compassionate volunteers who help facilitate our programs and services. And our services are aimed to provide emotional, social, spiritual, and practical supports for people and transition with them wherever they may go on their journey through illness and to end of life. Our programs include in-home community visiting, and that could be in individuals' private homes, it could be in assisted living, it could be in private homes, it could be in hospital, It could be in hospice house. So really companioning with individuals and providing that healing presence for people. We also provide caregiver support, and we also sit vigil with people during their dying time. We provide a large grief and bereavement program for adults, children, and youth. And we also provide a wellness program to really integrate an approach that includes mind, body, and spirit in our palliative care services, as well as our grief and bereavement services. And then public education is another pillar of ours, and today our advanced care planning discussion is one of them. Next. Oops, all right. So planning for our health and personal care is one component of overall life planning. And it's just as important as our financial planning or our estate planning. It is for every adult, not just for people who are aging or who are ill. And when we talk about estate planning, we make wills to say what we want done with our assets when we die, and if needed, appoint guardians for our minor children. And when we talk about our financial planning, we save money for school, major purchases, we invest in our retirement. And in addition, maybe we buy insurance in case something happens to us, our house, or our car. And personal care planning is we make preparations for day-to-day life decisions, such as where we're going to live, maybe our diet, how we dress, our exercise, our profession, deciding who we want contact with, who we want to surround ourselves with. And also, perhaps we make decisions around what cultural traditions we want to participate in that are important to us. With healthcare planning, we prepare for changes in our health, and we need to be ready to make those decisions. We also prepare for situations where we are not able to speak for ourselves and decide who will speak for us when that time happens. Just like we review and update our financial plans or our legal plans for each stage of our life journey, your healthcare plans should also be updated too. Making advanced care planning legal documents is not mandatory, but it gives you more control over the care that you receive and how you want to live out your life. Next. So what is advanced care planning? It's a process that involves thinking about and sharing your wishes and your preferences for your health care and personal care with people that you trust. It can include choosing who would make these decisions for you if you cannot. Why an advanced care plan is because it will help you get the care that is right for you. It is aligned with your values, your preferences, and your wishes, even if you are unable to speak for yourself. So who should do an advanced care plan? We all should do an advanced care plan. It's for every adult, as I mentioned, and it's not just for people who are aging or who are ill. All adults 19 years and older who are capable of making their own healthcare decisions should have an advanced care plan, especially people who are living with a serious illness, think their family may have different views or beliefs from their own, and they want to ensure their wishes are carried out. Maybe even have family members who don't know or understand or support their healthcare choices. Or maybe having a condition such as dementia, which will lead to loss of capacity to make decisions. So when should you start your advanced care plan? There's no time like the present. While you have capacity and are able to think about and share your wishes. Advanced care planning is not a one-time conversation, and it should be revisited over time. And for myself, maybe what my wishes were 10 years ago aren't necessarily what my values and wishes are today. And as I age, that may change as I grow older. And so it's important that I continue to share what my wishes are with the person who's going to be making decisions on my behalf if I cannot. Next. So there are 3 simple steps to advanced care planning. So think about what matters to you, your values, your beliefs, your wishes, and who would you choose to be your substitute decision maker? Talk with the people you trust about what matters to you and with your healthcare providers to understand health conditions and to share what they should know about you and what your wishes are. Plan by recording your wishes, preparing any legal documents, and sharing it with the people that you trust. Next. So having an advanced care plan is another significant way to show your family that you love them by taking away the uncertainty around wishes that will likely be an incredibly emotional time for you and your family or your friends. You're providing them with a profound gift, and you're also providing yourself with a gift to ensure that your wishes are adhered to. This gift may reduce stress on you and your family. It can increase your confidence that you're going to receive the care that you want. And it's going to provide an opportunity to bring family together, especially if it is a blended one. Now, as a result of having these discussions together, and also later, when they are required to make decisions on your behalf during very difficult circumstances. And in some circumstances, it actually can break families apart because of their inability to come together to agree on important medical decisions. And I just want to share that often, sometimes in our work, we hear from family members who may know what their loved one wants, but another family member who had a discussion a while ago has a different opinion or had a different conversation with that person. So it's important to really include whoever within is your family that you trust to have that same communication for all. And for you, it can help you get the right care that is for you and aligns with your values, your preferences, and your wishes. It allows you to know yourself better and understand what is most important to you. It can bring you peace of mind, knowing that people you trust know your healthcare wishes in case you aren't well enough to speak for yourself. For your family and friends, it lets those close to you know what care you want or not the care that they think you would want. It makes it clear to everyone in your family and your friend circle who you want to make care decisions for you if you can't. It reduces family disputes and confusion about your healthcare wishes. It helps your decision maker communicate better with your healthcare team that is involved in your care. For healthcare providers, it lets them know what kinds of things or experiences in life that are important to you. It helps them understand more about your culture and your beliefs and how they affect your care decisions. It helps them know what life support or care options you would refuse to receive if needed. And it makes it clear for all of them as to who will make decisions if you cannot make them for yourself. And I'll just share a quick little story with a friend of mine. And it's also about the little things. And we're going to get into that in the next slide. But next, Patty, I'll go into that next here. And I just want you to look through these questions that are here. And maybe there might be something that resonates with you. But a friend of mine does not like her feet touched. And she said, if I'm in a bed, I don't want people standing at the end of the bed, patting my feet as they maybe leave the room or enter the room as a way to sort of say hello, goodbye, because I hate my feet being touched. So it's about the little things as well as the important conversations. And what does comfort mean to us? Because that's something that could mean different to a lot of people. So remember what matters most, depending on the stage that you are in your life. Everyone should think about what life support options, like receiving blood transfusions or CPR, would you accept or refuse in case of emergencies, and with what considerations? Do you wish to donate your organs after death? Who would make decisions for you if you were in a critical accident or experienced a sudden health crisis? In addition, people who are aging, frail, or living with a serious illness should think about what is important for you to maintain your quality of life. For example, is it for you to continue embracing your hobbies, religious or spiritual practices, and beliefs and preferences, or food, music, art? Specific routines for personal care are just examples. How would you be involved in your healthcare and personal care decision-making processes? So as an example, would you want to be fully involved in every decision or only the major ones? What are your thoughts about the importance of having a long life compared to the importance of feeling well and being able to do what is important to you? Quality over quantity, or vice versa. As you approach end of life, also think about how would you like your end of life care experience to be for you and those that are important to you? What does comfort mean to you? What does suffering mean to you? And what abilities or comfort would you be willing to give up to live longer? Figuring out things that matter, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes a lot of reflection, and it's easier to do this type of talking, thinking before you enter into a crisis situation or an urgent decision-making situation, because we didn't have these important conversations. Next. So, a substitute decision maker. If you need medical treatment, but you can't make a decision or provide consent for yourself, you will need someone to express your wishes and speak for you. This person is called your substitute decision maker. Appointing a person or persons to be substitute decision maker is part of your advanced care planning, and Patty's going to speak into that in a few minutes. But being unable to speak for yourself is a common situation. There may be many reasons why you may not be able to speak for yourself. It may be before or after surgery. Maybe it's memory loss due to progression of an illness or dementia. Maybe it's after an accident or a brain injury. If your health declines rapidly due to illness, you may be unable to speak for yourself. So what role of a substitute decision maker? What do they have? Their role is to make health and personal care decisions on your behalf if you are unable to make them for yourself. These include healthcare decisions, such as providing consent or medical treatments according to your wishes and instructions. Personal care decisions, such as maybe place of care, nutrition, clothing, hygiene. To help your substitute decision maker or makers make the right care decisions for you, you need to share with them your values, your beliefs, your wishes, your health and treatment preferences, and healthcare conditions. So be honest about your condition with those who are going to be making decisions on your behalf. Your medical and treatment options. And I just want to say that if there is consideration around appointing two substitute decision makers to be acting jointly, it's really important for those two substitute decision makers to understand and to know and ensure that your wishes are being adhered to. Next. A good substitute decision maker is someone who knows you well, will honor your wishes and instructions, even if they have their own difference of opinions. And that's really important. They're not leading their opinion or their wants or what they would want for themselves. They are really honoring what your wishes are. Someone who maybe can be calm in a crisis situation, can communicate with healthcare providers and not be pressured into accepting treatment if that is not what you want. Who can handle conflict or maybe disagreement if there are maybe some family dynamics. And if appointing two to act jointly, as I mentioned, make sure that those two do have a good relationship and they can work together to ensure that your wishes are being met. When choosing a substitute decision maker, these are really important things to consider. And even having these important discussions with the ones who you are wanting to appoint to make sure that they're able to follow through with your wishes. So Patty is going to take the rest of our presentation over, and we just want to share with you a little video, and we hope that you enjoy it.
Not hearing the sound. Is anybody else? Okay, no sound. They're reporting no sound. So I wonder, is it a link we could copy?
Are you not seeing the video or you're just not hearing it?
We're not hearing it. We see it fine.
Okay. I think we might have to just go with the subtitles, and we'll send a link to it so that they can.
Okay.
It might take me a little bit.
I'll see what I can do right now. I think I might be able to. Actually, I will send you the link because I have it on our website.
Are you saying you want
to? There it goes.
My name is Diana, and we and I are husband and wife.
Sorry about that. We will get that right to you.
My name is Diana, and we and I are husband and wife. My name is
Somehow the audio got linked with the video.
Sorry, what are you saying?
The sound and the picture weren't matching up very well.
I think
I'm going to send that link to you right now.
Okay.
So do you want me to stop playing this entirely?
Might be good to pause just for a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe give it a shot again. Something happened to the volume. It's so quiet.
I also included the link in the chat, Paula, if you want to grab it from there.
Okay.
Did you say you wanted to play it from the link in the chat? Or just carry on?
Can you pull it up from the chat, Patty? Or Paula?
Let me see.
You want me to stop sharing?
I see you have it together. Let's see. Oh, someone else has got it.
It's not crucial. Maybe we should just move on.
Okay.
I know people's time is a little tight, so we'll definitely, sorry that you weren't able to see this video. We will definitely share that link with you with the other attachments as well. One of the key things out of this, when you see these people talking, it kind of drives home how emotional some of the questions can be around your partner or loved one situation, and you having to make a decision that is a difficult one. And it's difficult even in this scenario where it's not a real situation, than it would be if they were actually in that position. So I'm just going to move on to the next part. That was the talk stage of things. Now we're looking at, or sorry, that was the think side. And now we want to kind of move into the talk portion of the 3 areas that Natasha talked about at the beginning. So first of all, sharing your views and your plans with family and friends. What you should be talking about or thinking about talking about with these individuals are things that are important to you, the values, beliefs, and preferences that Natasha walked through, some of the fears and concerns you might have around future health and illness. There might be some specific healthcare treatments or decisions that you already know that you want or you don't want. Also, who you've chosen to make decisions for you if you're not able to make the decisions. And also to explain to your other family members and friends how you would like them to support the person or represent you when the decisions are being made. Kind of tricky to dive into these kinds of conversations. So a few suggestions here around how you might start that conversation, number of ways that would be relevant for you depending on your relationship with the person you're trying to talk to. Maybe one of the ways that I think can be the least conflict is to kind of go a little sideways at it and talk about maybe an experience that you've both gone through recently with someone close to you. As an example here, I was thinking about what happened to Ernie, and it made me realize something, or it made me realize that I really didn't want this situation, or can we talk more about it, as examples of some of the ways that you might be able to start that conversation. It's always a good idea when you're planning a conversation like that to prepare ahead of time, and will make it easier for you to have the outcomes that you want out of it. One of the first ways you can do that is to make notes on what you want to talk about. So in this case, think about who you're going to talk to and what key information that you want to share with them specifically. For example, do you need to let them know about who you've chosen to make healthcare decisions? What matters most to you? Those type of things. Also think about why it's important for you to have this conversation with that person and what you'd like to accomplish by having it. Pick a time when you and the person you'd like to talk to feel relaxed and have time to talk. not sort of in a busy middle of a family gathering of some sort. Choose a place that's free of distractions, where everyone feels comfortable. Be careful and go slowly with it. It can be difficult to talk about vulnerable and intimate topics, and you want to give them a chance to catch up to where you are. You've had a chance to reflect on these things for some time now, but this may be the first opportunity they've had to even think about it. So be aware of that, and be empathetic to the position they might be at in that stage. Also be open to listening and hearing from them as well. They might offer you a different perspective than what you have if they have different values and beliefs and preferences. That could help you to inform your decisions. And it's also an opportunity for you to know each other better and to deepen that relationship by sharing the kind of things that's really important to you. You might not be able to cover everything in one meeting. It's kind of a lot to cover in one time. So maybe you want to have one meeting, just sort of open the topic, and then say, we'll get into more depth in a follow-up conversation. There are also a number of communication tools like websites, leaflets, videos like the one that we tried to show that you'll be able to see later. That might help. And also look at situations that commonly known to you both about what happened with somebody else. And also start by talking about the present. It's not just, if I'm close to dying, it puts everyone in sort of panic mode, but it's also a serious illness conversation. Like any time in your life, you may find you come up against a situation like Natasha had mentioned, where you have temporarily no ability to communicate. So start by discussing those things before jumping to the scarier sides of things of end of life. Just like you want to talk to your family and friends, it's a good idea for you to talk to your healthcare providers too. Particularly if you have a health condition or serious illness, there might be some questions you would find helpful to talk with them about. So we're referring to all your healthcare providers like doctors, specialists, nurse practitioners, and so on. You want to get information about your health that can help you when thinking about what matters most to you. Some of the questions you can ask are illustrated here. How do you expect my illness will progress over time? How will my abilities in life be affected by that progression? And what kind of healthcare treatment might I expect as my illness proceeds? And what would be the benefits and risks of those treatments? Also, would life support treatments be considered for me during that time? For example, might I need to be put on a ventilator or some other means, such as a feeding tube, to keep me alive? When you get that information from your healthcare provider, take some time to think about their answers and see what that information might do in terms of adjusting the things that you would like to see when you're in those kinds of situations. Whether you have a health issue or not, it's a good idea after you've prepared your advanced care plan to talk to your healthcare providers and share what matters most to you and who can speak with you. And if there are any clear instructions that you may have currently, such as something related to blood transfusions or no CPR, and the value of that for them, besides the specific information you're sharing with them, is it gives you a sense of where you're coming from, so that when they're making recommendations for you going forward, they have a sense of the kinds of recommendations that might fit better with your plans. It's a good idea also to expect more than one meeting with these individuals as well. Maybe one meeting to get information from them, and one to share their wishes, and so on. And as Natasha, I think, alluded to, it's not probably a one-time thing. It's something you would have multiple conversations. And similar to talking with your family and friends, good thing to prepare for that conversation. Think about why you want to have that conversation, what you'd like to accomplish by having it, and which healthcare providers specifically would you like to talk to? Are there some that are specific to a particular treatment you're having, your family doctor, your healthcare nurse, and so on? Good idea to write down the questions that you want to ask in advance of that conversation, and make an appointment specifically with them to let them know, you want to have this meeting and what your purpose is for having it. Select a time that's when you feel most capable of understanding. So try not to have that conversation if you're feeling stressed or symptoms are being strong there, pick a time that's later that you can be out of that situation. And again, make them know that you might want to have a couple conversations with them, not just one. Also, when you're having this kind of conversation, it would be really helpful if you can bring someone with you to participate in those conversations. During COVID, that was something that we stepped back from a little bit, but now I think most doctors are happy to have someone there with you. It's difficult sometimes to hear everything. You're taking in a lot of information at the same time. So the person that you bring with you can help keep track of that, maybe record the conversation so that you have something to go back to afterwards. And ideally, it would be great if that person was someone that you did want to be your substitute decision maker, so that they are kept in the loop as what kind of expectation they might have down the road of what treatments you'd be looking at and what your views are around that. Also, a quiet room, and also having someone who could be a language interpreter if that's important for you. So that's the end of the talk side of things. And now we look at really the plan itself, the third and final step that we've laid out for you. And at this point, this is where you take the priorities and the decisions that you've made during the first two sessions or first two stages and translate that into a formalized advanced care plan. One advantage of doing this is that it can help clarify in your own mind what your beliefs and wishes are around healthcare. And then it can also help those who are involved in your care so that they understand your wishes. It helps guide their decision making, and it provides evidence if there's ever a disagreement. It's important to talk to people, but sometimes if they find themselves in a situation where there's conflict with your family members who either don't have the same values as Natasha had mentioned, or believed that you had said something different to them about that, and they really want to make sure that your views are maintained. So having something that's tangible and written down is a good way to make sure that everyone's on the same track with that. Naturally, as long as you are still able to make your decisions, your ACP isn't triggered. It's only those situations where you can't, incapable of making decisions and communicating decisions regarding your care. The jurisdiction, the BC jurisdiction has slightly different terminology and forms than other jurisdictions, like other province. So you might hear, for example, terms like a healthcare agent or proxy instead of a representation agreement or a substitute decision maker. The process is the same relatively, though, regardless of the terminology. So this is relevant even if you have family in another province or something that you want to make sure you're still following a good process. There is one resource that's available to you, and it's going to be a newer version of it, but it's a document, I don't know if you can see, it's called My Plan, and it's put out by the BC government, and it includes a lot of the forms and the information that we're including. And also, my understanding is that Interior Health is also looking at releasing a different version, or maybe a streamlined version of that around the middle of April. And there'll be links for you provided as to where you can find those documents. What you see here on the slide, though, is a good overview of what to be included in your plan. I'm going to go through the second and third and fourth in more detail, but the first is really talking about that thing that Natasha was referring to in terms of identifying what your values, beliefs, and wishes are. And this is something that could be written down, it could be audio recording, anything that sort of provides a little bit more context for people of what's important to you and why you may have chosen some of the decisions that you have. Why that helps is because it's really hard for you and your substitute decision maker to anticipate every situation that you're going to be in. So if they have a better understanding of the context of why you would wish for something versus something else, it helps them to know what to choose if they come into a situation that's a little bit different than what you talked about. There's also a couple additional legal documents that you might wish to make that are included on here. One is a representation agreement, which Natasha was talking about, appointing one or more people as your representative. And the second is an advance directive, which is used to record instructions to healthcare providers about the treatments and care options that you consent to or that you would not consent to. So far you've heard Natasha and I both talking about a substitute decision maker, like they're one person. There's actually three sort of different ways that you can have someone or something to speak and represent on your behalf. The first option that's listed here is already available to you. You don't actually have to do anything to access that. There's some things that you can do to support it. And the second two do require legal documents. So the first one, looking at this temporary substitute decision maker, if you're in a situation where you need healthcare and you aren't capable of making a decision and you don't have a representation agreement or advance directive that speaks to the situation, then your healthcare provider will refer to a list that's established by the province of who should be consulted and what hierarchy or what order they should be consulted. The person they select would only apply to a specific healthcare decision at hand. If there's another decision that comes up and you're still not capable of making it, your healthcare provider will go back to that list and make sure that they consult someone on that before making before making a decision. To qualify to be a TSDM, the person, first of all, has to be 19 years of age or older. They need to be capable themselves. They need to have no dispute with you and also have been in contact with you in the last 12 months and also be willing to comply with their duties as a temporary substitute decision maker. And as I mentioned, your healthcare provider will work through this list. So in the order that you see here, they would start with a spouse, then they would go to adult child. There was no one there, then they go to a parent and so on. They will work through that list until they find somebody that they're able to consult with on your needs. If they go through this whole list and there is no one on that list, either available or identified, the last item on here is the public guardian and trustee, and that office is available for anyone to make representation on their behalf. And that's usually somebody, someone who works in that office that would be appointed to consult with the doctors in that situation. As part of the annual or as part of your documentation, it's a good idea to have a list of all these people in this list. The My Voice does have in this order. So you just identify the names and their phone numbers of how they can be reached. And if there is someone on that list that you don't want to be consulted, there might be someone that you are estranged with, or you know that they have different views than you do around what you'd like to see happening, you can indicate on that list that they're ineligible. So it's a good idea to still keep them on the list so it doesn't look like you forgot them or they were omitted by mistake, but just note that they're someone who you don't want to have consulted. There are some limitations to a TSDM. For example, they can only make healthcare decisions for you. They can't make personal care decisions. Some of the ones that Natasha talked about, and also a few others that are relevant in this situation. Living arrangements, including admission to a care facility, is something that's relevant. Participation in social activities, who you have contact with, access to personal information, and restraint issues. So those are some of the personal care decisions that a TSDM can't make. And they're only selected for one decision or set of decisions at a time. So it might be a different person for each situation. The second option open to you is a substitute decision maker identified through a representation agreement. And that's a form that's signed by you and your representative. It's a legal document and it's verified by a witness. And so in this document, you would identify a capable adult or multiple to make both personal care and healthcare decisions. And that representative is actually the best chance of having the same person making the decisions all the time, and also the only way someone can legally make those personal care decisions for you. And Natasha mentioned you can name more than one person to act as a representative. You can specify which decisions each person can make and how they can act. For example, you could have one person with personal care decisions and another person for healthcare decisions. One of the things to keep in mind, though, is if you do appoint people jointly, as in they both share the responsibility, if one of them isn't able to speak or isn't able to participate in some reason, the other person can't either. It's sort of an all or nothing. And this is one area that many people kind of get tripped up on when they have adult children. They say, well, I really want them all to be involved, so I'm going to name them all equal. But if one person happens to be out of town, then the other people can't step in anyways. So a better approach would be maybe to assign them different responsibilities and make clear in your representation agreement which situations an alternate would be able to act instead of your main one, or if there are particular things that you want one person to make decisions on and not the other. It is legal. You don't have to have a lawyer or a notary public involved with this, but there are some restrictions on who can sign as a witness. And for example, they can't be someone who's a spouse, a parent, or a child of the representative. They want to make sure that there's no potential that you might be being influenced unnecessarily in naming this individual. There's also two different kinds of representation agreements in BC. We have one that's called Section 9 Enhanced, and there's a Section 7 Standard. And the difference between these two types of representation agreements, one relates to the requirement for capacity. A Section 9, you have to be capable to appoint them. The scope of health-related decisions that are allowed, particularly life support decisions, you'll see that Section 9 is the only one who is able to make those type of decisions. And ability to make routine financial decisions is actually something that a Section 7 individual can do, but not a Section 9. So the ideal situation, if you are planning ahead and you are in a position that you are capable of making decisions, it's a good idea to maybe have a Section 9 enhanced representation agreement, and they would handle your personal health care. And alternate, you can appoint or have someone identified through an enduring power of attorney, and that individual can handle legal and financial decisions. So both of those require capacity to appoint, and it covers off both of those areas. If you come across a situation where you or someone that's close to you have lost capacity and they haven't done this, Section 7 is an opportunity for you to still have some decisions made, even when that person doesn't have capacity to appoint them. The third option is not a person at all. It's actually a document. And in this case, you'd be looking at a document that indicates your instructions for accepting or refusing specific healthcare treatments. Again, you have to be competent in order to make an advance directive. It only covers healthcare decisions, not personal care, financial, or legal decisions. And it really needs to be clear about the specific treatments you want or you'd refuse. It has to be in writing, and it has to be signed, witnessed, and dated. One circumstance where this kind of a document would be really useful is some people have said, I don't actually have anyone to make healthcare decisions for you. So it's hard to have someone that you can lean on that knows what your values and wishes are. So in that case, you probably want to have something documented in a document like this, and you want to have conversations with your doctor to make sure that they understand as well. So your healthcare providers can really be your voice through this document. Other couple circumstances where you might want to have an advance directive, if you have certain instructions that you want to be legally binding, or you want to spare your decision maker from making certain decisions. So maybe if you're in a situation where you don't want life-saving treatments, and someone said, I don't want my husband to be in the situation where he has to make that call, then you can specify in his representation agreement he's not involved in those decisions, and your advance directive would be used instead. Another reason you might want that is if you have an existing medical condition or one that's progressive, and you've already discussed with your doctor specific treatments, decisions that you'll be likely faced with. So you have a really good handle on what you can expect, and you have a pretty good feel of what you would want or what you wouldn't under those circumstances. For sure, you definitely want to talk to your healthcare provider before you make an advance directive. It's hard to cover every possible decision available, and you want to make sure that you understand the treatment options that are available to you, that the directive is clear and specific, and that you understand how what you write would be interpreted. It needs to be something that would be understood the same by any of the other medical professionals that would be looking at that. If you do find a situation where you have both rep agreement and an advance directive, your representative should be using your advance directive to guide their decisions, but they still have sort of the right of refusal or a veto around that. So if you don't want them to be consulted, then you need to specify in your rep agreement those circumstances where they aren't and where your advance directive supersedes them. So just kind of showing that visually to you, the hierarchy that we have of decision making. You obviously, as long as you're capable, you're the person who makes decisions. If you're not, the representation agreement and advance directive supersede your temporary substitute decision maker. And rep agreement and advance directive, the representative has a veto power unless you have something specified. So the things to summarize, I know we're getting a little tight on time, so I won't repeat this, but basically we're just saying, in summary, these are the kinds of information that you want to have included in your plans. What matters, either a recording or document, your TSDM, legal documents. There are 2 other documents that I haven't mentioned in here that you may want to include as well. One of those is something called a medical order for scope of treatment in BC, and that's sometimes also referred to as your goals of care, and also a no cardiopulmonary resuscitation plan, so there no CPR. So those are 2, they're actually medical orders as opposed to other legal documents, and they will exist on your medical records, on your electronic records, so they will be things that your medical team will be able to access. So it's a good idea to keep that with your other plans and make sure that everything is consistent. Great to have a plan, but you got to share it with somebody for it to be really useful. So make sure that they can find it. Keep them together in a safe place. That doesn't mean your safety deposit box. If you're in a tight situation, an emergent situation, nobody's going to have access to that. So make sure that the people that need to have it have copies of it themselves. Share with your family, close friends. You keep a copy of all that documents together. First responders know to check on or near the fridge. I think in BC now we've started referring to something as like green sleeves. So there's like a green folder that you can get, or you can also get a folder that colored folders at the dollar store to distinguish between your document and your partner's document. Bring them with you to the hospital. So just to make sure that you bring the right document with you. And also, as Natasha mentioned in the beginning, it's not something that it's a one and done. Our health, illnesses, and treatment options change over time. And as our health changes, so do decisions about what we consider to be tolerable and intolerable. So something looking down the road today, you might say, oh, I just can't see myself being able to stand that situation, and I wouldn't accept that treatment. When you get to that stage, you might feel a lot different, and quality of life might look a little bit different for you at that stages. And so it's a good idea to review it at least a regular time. If you have a change in your health, for example, a new diagnosis or a decline in the health, in your health might be the kind of change we'd be looking at. Life circumstances, for example, if you've moved and now the person that you had as your person is in another province, you want to revisit that. And also if your relationships change, people get divorced and widowed and things like that, and or family and friends change. So those situations might need you to review and make adjustments. And then you'd use the same process that you used to develop it in the first place, that think, talk, and plan. We do have an helping you kind of with going through that process, that thinking is so important. Give yourself time to reflect on that. We do have some resources we're also going to share with you that you can refer on. Bite-sized pieces. Don't do it all at once. Celebrate the progress that you make along the way. It can feel really overwhelming and a massive undertaking, but if you just do bit at a time and come back to it, celebrate what you've done today by coming to this presentation, because you've already taken that first step. So do the things like any big thing that you're trying to get through. The similar process will work for you. As I mentioned, we have a number of tools. I won't go through these. They will be sent to you afterwards. And I think that basically jumped that really fast, but I wanted to make sure that you had time for some questions. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'll turn it over to you, Paula.
Thank you so much. Both.
Sorry for the fly through on that last part of it.
No, I've been there and it's hard. So you want to keep on time and respect people's time, but such valuable information. And I think you're right that it gave permission at the end to give time to think about it. So we have time. But it's important work to do for ourselves and for our families. Thank you, Patty, for that piece, and to Natasha. I didn't mention that you're both attached to Central Okanagan Hospice Association in 2 different roles. So I appreciate that you're attending and sharing your wisdom, so much wisdom in that presentation. Yeah, and there was a question from, quickly, is BC substitute decision maker the best term to use? From Sandy.
I guess it depends who you're talking to. Would be my first question. Like, substitute decision maker or representative is a term that most of the doctors and people in BC know about. If you're talking to someone in a different province, probably the terminology that would be more meaningful then would be for a proxy. But the notion of a substitute decision maker is there regardless. I'm just seeing.
Yeah. What do you suggest in today's world where so many don't have a family physician or a close connection to a healthcare provider?
Yeah, that's really when it's so helpful to have things written down. And then you go from place to place. They have all access to that information. You bring it with you everywhere you go. And you need to maybe take it onto yourself a little bit to be proactive about communicating that, because they are probably not going to think to ask you about all those things. So if you want your wishes known in that regard, if you initiate those conversations, I know that they'll be welcome. It's just hard sometimes for them to think of asking them.
Nice. Okay, I'm just going to double check. Got everybody. Yeah, there was a comment that said, thank you. I didn't realize about equal reps, that they must all be available to make decisions. That's some learning for sure. So thank you. I think I will wrap it up. More information will come to you, as well as an evaluation will be emailed out to the attendees. So I hope you can participate and see those resources. We invite you to visit our website, Okanagan Embrace Aging. We're coming down to the final days of our events, and a big thank you to Natasha and Patty for everyone for attending. A special thank you to Jaquetta, who is remarkable for her support of these events.
I just see one question in there about where you can access. So it's called My Voice, and you can, if you search on Interior Health Advanced Care Plan, they have a link to it there. It's also like BC Health. There are a number of different ways, but yesterday I looked, and they do have a link to that right now in Interior Health.
And we also do have a number of books at our center on Cooper Road. Our address is Suite 200, 1890 Cooper Road. So you could also stop in to grab a booklet as well. If you go to the Central Okanagan Hospice Association's website, under Programs and Services, there is a title that says Advanced Care Planning. That is also, once Interior Health implements their new workbook in mid-April. We're also going to link a link to their website, which will help easy navigation. And their booklet will also be available for you to download yourself. You can save it to your own computer and work through it at your own pace and save that work. So that is something that's forthcoming in April.
Sounds fantastic. It's come to our closing of our event. So thank you so much for your time and for the important information that you shared. And thanks for everybody attending, and look forward to meeting you in the community. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.